Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
Hi and welcome to episode 91 of the Khandaan podcast. हम आ गए हैं तमीज की कमीज पहन के. Actually, I should have kept that one. I should have kept that line for the main podcast, which is later, the review of DAULAT Ki Jung. So this might get cut out or repeated. But what are we doing this episode? We're going to be reading your emails and your messages, and we're going to be talking about the stuff we watched. So that's the plan, right? Yeah. Let's get going. I think we want to get it done quickly as possible because we're running late. But that's on us. That's not your problem. you guys are probably listening into this with lots of hopes. You've been waiting for this episode for a week. And
Sujoy just wakes up at midday and then sits for
Sujoy khichdi bana raha tha.
Pretty much.
Oh boy. But by the way, to speak about khichdi, don't you feel that like dil karta hai, khichdi banaye, and then when you make it after like 2 plates you're done, and then you're like, shit yaar, I have 7 more plates of khichdi left? Or do you not have that?
I mean, I live by myself and I can't just make one portion, right? So I make a whole cooker full of khichdi and I just have to freeze some portions, I suppose.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, that I also have, because like the want for khichdi is more than like how much you actually want.
And actually when the recipe says 200 grams of rice and 200 grams of moong dal, and I'm like, nahi, 400 gram. 400 gram. And because your eyes eat more than what actually your stomach can handle. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So let's get to our first email of that we received, and let's start with this one too. We like a bit of spice, right, on the Khandaan podcast. Speaking of khichdi and like a moderate, decent segue I'm doing, let's start the one from Nithya, because I think that one is a good one. Amrita, you want to read that one, right?
Is that the one?
The last one, yeah, the last one, yeah.
Yeah, so Nithya is one of our rare, honest subscribers. Usually we get like a lot of like, we love your podcast and everything. And we love that, obviously. Nobody likes to be told that they suck. But Nithya does think that we suck. But she also likes to listen to us. And so she very helpfully sent in a few suggestions. And, I'm making fun of her right now and we're like laughing about it. But honestly, like she does bring up a few points that I know that we've discussed between ourselves. So I think it's like a good letter to bring up. And it explains a lot of things about our show also. So one of the things that she says is like, stop discussing the films being problematic because it interferes with the experience of watching these films, because obviously they were made in a different time and they belong to that time, etc. Now I know what I think of that. Like,
I mean, it depends on the how familiar and how a part of your whole growing up and part of your nostalgic memory a particular movie is. You often tend to be more forgiving towards movies that you grew up being really fond of, or with it depends who you went to watch it with, the group of friends, or some incident that happened at the cinema where people were dancing and you enjoyed the experience. And when you go back to that movie, it triggers that memory from the past, then you want to be more forgiving towards that movie rather than a movie which was crap to begin with and is still crap or crappier now. It depends, right? How we handle nostalgia. So it's all part and parcel of that, I think.
I think for me, a lot of it is, I feel I'm talking to a younger Asim a lot of times when I'm, talking about these movies, more than like to an audience. When I'm talking about a movie being problematic, I'm talking to the younger Asim that thought this movie was fine. So it's not necessarily about the audience, because I'm a very self-centered person. I am talking about me, and some hold up, and some don't. And I think it is an interesting thing, and I think we're going to be delving with that a bit more specifically in a later email. It's a thing I question about myself too. Like, are we putting on an artificial front about being so high and mighty that we can judge on everything, and we should just maybe see things as entertainment or, something from that era? But I also feel when I watch it, these alarm bells do start ringing in my mind, which I would, it would be weird to have a podcast talk about movies and then not talk about the alarm bells that were ringing when I was rewatching this movie. So it is a tough balance to strike. I think for Nithya, the balance is not right. I get her point, though. I get her point. I get it, but I don't know if I can change necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, we say what we feel. There is no pretense here, in a way. Like, when we spoke about Jab Pyar Kisi Se Hota Hai, I wholeheartedly defend that movie, even though you two didn't find that at all, impressive. But because the memories that were associated for me for that movie, I still find joy in watching that movie. And when we come to Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, that movie was great then and still great now. And then there are tons of new movies like the Dabangg movie, which I really enjoyed back then. But from where we sit now, I don't find myself enjoying Dabangg. So it depends, really.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. Like, this is part of nostalgia is acknowledging what happened back then and who we were as people, not just culturally, but also individually. And as Asim said, we are talking back to our younger selves. And I don't know about you guys, but like, there was a specific moment in time when I feel like my brain kicked in when I was watching movies, because we've talked about this before, like, we're constantly shocked at the kind of things that we were allowed to watch, and that was considered like kid-friendly entertainment. So right now, when we rewatch these movies, and some of these movies we haven't watched in like 20, 30 years. So we're watching it again for the first time in a very long time, like 30, 20 years. I mean, you're a completely new person, hopefully. So, I understand that this belonged to a time, but we need to be able to set our fondness aside and also look at what it is. And I do this all the time with books. I do this all the time with movies, with music. You look at something and then you try to see how it fits into your psychology and why it was so special to you. Because when you examine things like that, that's when you learn so much about yourself and about the world. And I don't feel that it interferes with my enjoyment of that particular media in any way. And I can see why, like, some people find it, like Nithya, they find it problematic, and they think that, everything is, like, obviously going to be, if you see it through the lens of today, then obviously it's not going to match it up. But that's not true. Like, we've had movies on this very podcast, that were made in the 90s or the 80s or whatever, and they hold up today. Like, they're not problematic, or even if they are problematic, they have a context to them and you can defend it. So it's not true. I don't think that that's true. But yeah, I don't fault Nithya for feeling that way either. Second is that she says there's hardly any discussion about the performance of the Khans and that we just laugh a lot and just sort of skip past it. And look, Nitya, we're friends. We hang out. We like to have a good time. So if you have a problem with us laughing, then this podcast is not for you. I'm sorry.
Also, none of us are film critics, by the way. None of us has learned the Alif Bay of, film criticism. Like, we just talk about movies. So there's lots of people, very smart people that write analytically about movies. And I also have to say, and this is actually a point, I think I've made this on a few episodes where we talk about the movie and we actually don't talk about the performance of the main Khan. That this has happened a lot. And I think there's two reasons for it. One, Khandaan for us was always the Khan part of it is a jumping off point to talk about movies. So it's not necessarily about the Khans, it's a jumping off point. And secondly, I really believe that Shah Rukh used to say that when he started, that there's 7 characters you can play, right? And we've seen them play these 7 characters over 30 years. And Salman Khan will be the Prem, and Salman Khan will be the Raj. Salman Khan will be the Judwa one, or Shah Rukh will be Rahul, or he will be this. And after a while, there's not that much difference in the toolbox they use, I feel. But what do you think, Sujoy?
I mean, it depends, right? Because if you go and watch Chori Chori Chupke Chupke, which we did for the second episode of Khandaan podcast, right? You want to talk more about what Rani and Preeti are doing than what Salman Khan is doing in that movie. So it depends on the movie. When it comes to, say, Dabang, it's the Salman Khan show, and you cannot escape from talking about Salman Khan because the movie is totally his. You are not talking about Mahesh Manjrekar, or you may be talking about one line of Sonakshi Sinha. But it totally depends on the movie. As you said, Khandaan, the concept is basically we're talking about Khan movies, but ends up being, depending on the movie that we are discussing, it depends on the movie who we mostly talk about.
What do you think, Amrita?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you.
So good that we started a podcast. Now we all agree with each other.
High five.
Times when we all agree. Number 3 that Nitya says is love for Salman Khan. She says that I understand that it's reflective of the current state of general Bollywood audiences, that everyone is besotted with Bhai's antics. I understand bias cannot have any logic, yet please try to be consistent. I don't really know how we are supposed to be consistent, but I feel like this is really for Asim. Asim, do you think that everyone is besotted with Bhai's antics?
I want to talk about this when we read the next email, because I feel that is connected with the one from Beth that we got, because I think it's in the same line. So I want to get back to you on that point, Nitya, a bit later on, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah. It's going to be a good email, Nitya, so you want to stick around for that one. Number 4 is when Nitya calls me out and she says that Shah Rukh films get overanalyzed / judged thanks to Amrita. Salman films get the benefit of the doubt thanks to Asim. Amir's films get overappreciated thanks to Sujoy. That's also reflective of the current state of general Bollywood audience. Shah Rukh, whom I guess Amrita once liked, is on a decline, so even his most loved hits appear dulled and have to be discussed under problematic topic. Salman is just lucky to be genuinely loved, and I guess he's like a naughty toddler and everyone just chuckles at his bad behavior. Amir is by unanimous consent accepted as God perfectionist. This pattern gets boring after a while. To compensate, you must get someone as guest who likes Shah Rukh while discussing his films. Someone who doesn't understand Salman craze at all and hence can tell the truth, like Maine Pyar Kyun Kiya is a very bad movie. And someone who can see flaws in Amir Khan movies once in a while.
We have you for that, Amrita.
Nitya, I don't know what episodes you've listened to of this podcast, but I literally have such a reputation as an Amir hater that people send me memes, like Amir memes, every single day. I also don't know where you get this idea that Salman has sort of indulged as a naughty toddler that everyone loves. I mean, maybe like 20 years ago that was true, but I live in the India of like 2021 where every single day there's like a trending topic against like Amir and Salman especially, and it's just, I mean, the things that are said about the two of them online on an everyday basis, it burns my eyes. Like, I literally have their names blocked on my Twitter because I can't deal with the hate. Like, I'm not even like their biggest fan and I can't deal with the hate. Like, it's terrible. So you're absolutely wrong about that. And also, I feel like we have like a lot of people that come on this show who disagree with us, disagree with our nostalgia, call us to account for the kind of book and the films that we love, and try to excuse. Every once in a while, we'll have like a friend come on and we'll egg them on to choose a film that is indefensible, and they will choose something. Like, Pitu will choose like Hello Brother, for example, and she'll hold to it that it's amazing, and she's doing it to get a rise, and it's comedy. Like, she doesn't really
I don't know,
think
but I think she genuinely likes these movies. We will get into that in next episode, though.
And then, as far as I'm concerned, and over analyzing Shah Rukh and not liking him because he's been on decline for the past few years, Nitya, I have standards. Like, I've always had standards, and I apply them equally to all the Khan movies. So just because I like Shah Rukh, and I do, of the three Khans, I will say that, yeah, Shah Rukh is probably the one that I like the most. But I will also say that he has made problematic movies. Like, my fondness for an actor or his work cannot blind me ever to problematic behavior on or off the sets. Like, that's not going to happen. I'm simply not that kind of person. I wouldn't do that to a friend. I will not do that to a celebrity. So, if that makes me sound incredibly priggish and prudish or like up myself, then that's the way it is. I am a grown woman, and this is who I've grown into, you know. So yeah, what about you guys? Like, Sujoy, what do you think?
Well, I've been called the biggest Amir fan, according to Nitya, and I don't know where to start. Like, I was the one dissing Amir in the Dhoom 3 episode. I did not like Thugs of Hindustan. I think, yes, Amir has done phenomenal work, and his selection of projects has been, I think, better than most, and obviously out of the two Khans as well, considering Dangal and PK and Talash, that was the last three big ones that he has done. And he's also directed a movie like Tare Zameen Par. So I'm definitely in awe of his talent, but I don't think I consider myself a stan, as you would say, and Amir is indefensible in any account. If he does a shit movie like Dhoom 3, I will say it's a shit movie, right? Yeah, I'm too old to be a stan.
And we all know that I'm the biggest Amir fan on this.
Of course.
Podcast, right? We know this. I think one point I wanted to kind of like highlight, it would be very hard to bring on guests to talk about movies they don't like of the Khans. Like, I don't know, like, usually people want to talk about the stuff they like, like if you get a writer on or a guest on, we usually let them choose the movie. And it would be hard to make them watch like Guddu or something like that, we basically have Pitu for that. Or like Pulkit that came on, or Get Filmy that came on, because they can serve a niche that Sucharita cannot, like, or Sunny Singh cannot, so it depends on the guest. But honestly, we let them choose a lot of times, and I don't know if that concept would work, to have them review a movie they don't like, or get like a Shah Rukh hater to discuss a Shah Rukh movie. I don't know how that would work.
Like, why would they sit through the movie for us?
Yeah. So I have trouble with that.
And also, like, Nitya, you need to understand, like, this is not something that we do on a whim or in like a couple of minutes. Like, we have an entire process. So, like, when we have people come on, like, first of all, you need to pitch it to them. And the pitch that you're suggesting is like, hey, would you like to watch a movie you hate and then come discuss it with us for like 2 hours? Like, we record for a minimum of 2. Usually it's like 3. That's why you get all these episodes out of us, is because we talk for a long time and we delve deep. And people who hate things usually, like, unless it's somehow like incredibly bad, like if we were doing like Jani Dushman or something, which we can't because it's not a Khan movie. But if it was something like that, then maybe somebody might do it if they're in the right frame of mind. But a lot of these people we're meeting for the first time, like we don't know them personally. Some of them we know personally, some of them we don't. So if you're just cold pitching somebody, you can't be like, hey, you want to spend like 3 hours watching this movie you hate and then spend another 3 hours with us talking about it? Like, why would they do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Nithya wrote earlier in her email, I don't know why, but I keep returning to the podcast. It's almost like the inexplicable addiction to Bollywood movies. I keep telling myself that I will never visit again, but I keep listening once in a while. So I think I think that's kind of what it is, right? Like people, we are addicted to these movies, and it would be hard. Like, yeah, maybe some people want to watch stuff that they don't like Nithya maybe, but it's hard to pitch that to guests. So, but I must say, I mean, I appreciate the email though of Nithya's email, you know, and I like being called out for my BS. I mean, that's why you guys are here too, you know. But shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, Nithya, thank you for writing in, and I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate you getting in touch and trying to get the product that you think you deserve. Like, that is an energy that I absolutely admire. So thank you for writing in.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. I'll do Beth ones now, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That follows up. Yeah. Beth, our top friend, wrote in. How cool. It's like we just spoke, but we never ran out of things to say, which is awesome, yeah? Hello, top friends. My question is about something Asim said, but it could be broadened to everyone if you want. Asim, a few episodes ago, you mentioned reading the transcript of Aishwarya and Salman Khan phone's call and how upset you were by what he said to her. It felt like I could hear your opinion about him changing as we were talking, though maybe I was projecting. With this in mind, what are your current thoughts about separating artists from the work they create? Is there action you want to take, i.e., e.g., not reviewing any of his films so as not to help to market them? And for Amrita and Sujoy, have you learned anything about the real lives of any childhood film heroes that have made you stop watching their work? Yes, like for example, for her, Bill Cosby, she's kind of cancelled that. Yeah, I think interesting question, and I think that kind of follows up from what Nithya was also mentioning about Salman Khan, right? So I'll kind of get into that a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be coherent. I think I've answered this question a few times and then I cut it out because I was just not coherent. So this might be the case again, unfortunately. Fandom is weird, man. What can I do about it? Like, I can explain it, and I try to like find similarities. Like, you know, I try to find my fandom for a person like Salman Khan or Mike Tyson or Michael Jackson. You know, there's a few that I can kind of bring into this fold, and on one hand, it is separating art from the artist, but the also thing is I try to like connect it with something like Trumpism or, you know, like very ardent Hinduism in India, or, you know, like when you're stuck in that team and however toxic that team is, you cannot let go of it. And I think the phone calls where I was reading, I don't think it changed my opinion about Salman because I've always felt that he was horrible to Aishwarya in that whole segment. I think, again, I'm talking about myself. I think when that was happening, I was in a kind of a same romantic entanglement as Salman was. And although I never did any of the things that he did, there was a lot of connection there as me 20-year-old guy, like, you know, like being deeply, madly in love, like very like Kabir Singh kind of love, you know, and that brings a bit of toxicity to it. But I think when I was reading those words, I had not thought of that chapter of myself in 20 years. So I think that's what I was more reflecting of, that on the one hand, wow, that is really, really shitty, terrible behavior, which unfortunately doesn't have a lot of like there's no punishment for it in society, like doing what he did. You can kind of just get scot-free out of that, being horrible to your girlfriends or your exes and things like that. You could even more 20 years ago, right? And on the other hand, I was also just kind of like thinking of me as that guy, like, reading those words and being that person, like, wow, what an asshole you were. So it was more about that. So it hasn't changed my feelings about Salman Khan. I don't think I'll be boycotting his movies, but I think I'm also quite... If a movie is shit, I just go hard, because you can feel my disappointment when I watch a Race 3, right? Like, the disappointment is so much more than a non-fan, I would say. Because I had come in with certain expectations that he can at least deliver something. And I think Salman has not been doing that for a while. And I don't see him doing it for the next few movies that he will be doing. So it's a rough ride being a Salman Khan fan. But I do feel... what you were mentioning, I think there's an age gap. And I think when these guys were in their prime... We kind of grew up with that fandom, and now the younger kids now, they just feel these are old uncles that need to be made fun of. Then there's also the fact that they are Muslims, so they get the outsider status by a lot of like these WhatsApp machinery that goes on. And I mean, Salman did terrible thing beside the Aishwarya thing. So I do feel that Salman gets a lot of flack online. I also feel like 80% of that is deserved. So it's kind of a tough situation. I don't know if that answers the question. Amrita, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, like, addressing Beth's larger question to Sujoy and myself, like, I don't think there was ever a moment in my life that I thought that somebody that I was watching on screen was an especially good person and then they were revealed to be a bad person. I think the only person whom I've idolized and then they sort of disappointed me in a little bit was like probably Shashi Kapoor, but not much. And Ashok Kumar is like another person whom I've always idolized, and he appears to have been a great person right through the end, so that was good. But apart from that, I feel like maybe it's because I grew up reading a lot of gossip magazines, but I've always known that they were trash. And gossip magazines, back in the 80s and 90s, they weren't the way that Filmfare and all are run today. Like, back in those days, those people were like way out there. Like, they would really print the stuff, There's this story of Dharmendra chasing this woman called Devyani Chaubey, who used to run Stardust, I believe. And he was trying to like assault her basically because she had published all about his affair with Hema and made it really hard for him back at home. And he was a cheater and he was like trying to like save his marriage, I guess. But there's like all these stories about like these women, and then Shobha Dey, and like I remember back in the 90s is when I really got a good glimpse at the kind of like sexual violence that goes on behind the scenes, because Stardust did this huge expose about like how these men, like, and not even just like A-list men or anything, people like Shakti Kapoor, I remember about them like using and abusing starlets and promising these girls all these things just so that they could sleep with them, and then humiliating them on sets and stuff. And these were all printed. Like, it wasn't even like a hush hush, like, unnamed person. It was like very much like, this is what Shakti Kapoor did.
And with Shakti Kapoor, sorry to say, it was kind of expected behavior. Nobody was shocked. Like, surprise, Shakti Kapoor is involved in casting couch, You really did not require a sting operation to do that. But anyway.
But I remember like watching Goody back in the day. Like, Asim has never watched it, but I know Sujoy has. But there's a scene in Goody where like Jaya Badri is film obsessed, and when she meets Pran for the first time, she's very like scared because he's a villain. And then it turns out like Pran is actually like a sweetheart, and Dharmendra explains that to Goody or Jaya Badri. So like that's the kind of image that I think the industry likes to project, that it's not real what you see on screen, and like people like Ranjit and Pran and all are like actually really great people, and then like Shakti Kapoor shows up and like screws the pooch for everybody.
Hold my beer.
So yeah, like, no, I don't think I had any illusions to shatter. And I wasn't shocked at all by the transcript of what happened with Salman Khan. Like even without reading it, that's exactly who I expected him to be. And then he revealed himself to be that person. And I was like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Although I do feel that certain times that I think if the movie, I feel if it's a main star and he's not driving, so like when you were talking about Shakti Kapoor, right? Those are like supporting actors. And then like Paresh Rawal or, a few other, like even Kangana, I would say, my opinion on that has really changed, where it becomes really hard to watch their movies now. Whereas Salman, I don't know, it feels different. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Like it's like, I don't know how I can kind of quantify it.
I'll say Anupam Kher actually, because when I was young, so this is a random story, but when we were really young, my grandfather had his business in Chennai, so we used to it used to be Madras back then, so we used to go to Madras all the time. And one day we were at this hotel and we were staying in that hotel, and then there was like there are always these film shoots through the 80s and 90s in Madras, like Bollywood films. And I guess it was a film shoot, and Jackie and Anupam Kher were staying in the same hotel as us. And my cousin bumped into Anupam Kher, figured out that he was staying at the same hotel. And then on a whim, he just called Anupam Kher's room and was like, hey, you want to come like have coffee with us? And Anupam Kher showed up. It was like the most random, awkward thing that has ever happened. Like all of us were just sitting there like a bunch of South Indians. None of us spoke Hindi except for like me and my brother. And all of us just stared at him like he was in a zoo. And then he drank his coffee and he left. I don't know what anybody expected.
Uncle, आपका चांद इतना shiny क्यों है?
But based on that interaction, I've always had this feeling that Anupam Kher was a good guy, because I was like, any man who'd like show up to like a total random stranger's room to drink coffee with him just because he said he was a fan has to be a good dude, right? And then like as the years went on and like, all the stuff that's happened in the past 10 years. And then I was watching him on this show on NBC where he's playing this Indian doctor. And I was like, who do I send an email to say that I don't want this person on the screen? He basically supports fascism back in his country, and we don't want that. So yeah, I guess that's my one big
Let's do the
change.
next one.
Okay, so Irfan says, hi Asim, I just wanted to say again that the podcast is amazing and fun to hear. I have two questions. The first one is, what movie franchise do you want to see the Khans in? Like for me, SRK in Dhoom would be amazing. Salman in Rohit Shetty cop movies as Robin Hood. Amir in Jolly LLB. Lastly, I wanted to know what you guys thought of KGF Chapter 1, if anyone has watched it. I loved it. Amazing movie in my opinion. Thank you, Irfan.
Okay. First of all, how many franchises are there in Bollywood? Like, there's not that many, are there? Like,
there's the Krish. There's the shared Rohit Shetty cop universe.
This Tiger Shroff.
There's Tiger Shroff's Hero Panti and Baghi universe. There's Vidyut Jamwal in Commando universe.
Yes, that's a good universe.
And the Dhoom, I suppose. Yeah.
I think Salman with Vidyut Jamwal would make like a really good, like you could see like Vidyut like actually doing the stunts and then Salman just rolling up in the back. Like, tu kar le.
Yeah.
I would actually, everybody talks about Shah Rukh in Dhoom. I would want Akshay in Dhoom, weirdly enough. Like, I think that would work well. I don't know why people absolutely want Shah Rukh in it. Dawn, that's a good one too. Salman in Dawn, that would work.
As the baddie.
Yeah, I mean, there's no good guys in Dawn, right? But as a foil to Shah Rukh, I think Dawn... Oh, Chulbul Pandey chasing Dawn. How about that one?
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I think that's kind of a good one. I think that could be a good kind of thing.
That'd be a good comic
Love
strip.
to see what Farhan will do with Chulbul Pandey. Like that would be like that's what I'm really interested in. Like,
Yeah, I think he could, man. I think Farhan could do that. Like, it would be kind of a good one. Although Farhan also has kind of a universe, right? The Dil Dhadakne Do Zindagi Milegi Na Dobara Dil Chahta Hai
that's
Rock
his
On
sister,
universe.
not him.
How about like female performers? Like, is there any kind of thing that we could like? There's so many missed chances that I would love. Madhuri as a badass in something.
Exactly. I want Madhuri as like the villain in something because she would be amazing.
Charlie's Angels with Madhuri as the villain.
Nice.
Ooh.
That's a good one, no? Like we need 3 other women, but we got the main one. We've got her in
Katrina,
her
Anushka,
Demi Moore.
Deepika.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Katrina, Anushka, Deepika.
I'm in. Sold. No. Sorry, Anushka, Deepika. Yeah, okay. I think we need to skew younger, guys. I think we're showing our age here.
That would be Alia, Shraddha,
Ananya.
and Noni Pandey.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Shakila for her Noni Pandey gif. Where Noni Pandey is basically this newborn giraffe. It was amazing. Thanks, Shakila.
I've not seen that one. I want to also about KGF. Have you guys seen KGF? I actually spoke about that on the podcast.
I started watching it and I couldn't continue watching it. I stopped it. I think I was not in the mood for it. It just felt too
want to
moody.
watch it. Yeah, I want to watch it.
I liked the scale of it. I liked the main actor. I liked the action set pieces, and like it's really grand. Like it's really, the ambition is really large, and it has even a lot of these Mad Max influences. So that all I liked. I have trouble connecting with every kind of cinema. Like I haven't figured it out yet. And I don't think I've figured out Kannada movie making yet, because it's even more like alpha macho than Telugu movies, and I struggle with
How
that.
is that possible?
Yeah.
I will say, Irfan, like I fully intended to watch KGF based on your recommendation. Like I read your email and I immediately wanted to go watch it. But life has been crazy this weekend, so I haven't gotten around to it. But I will watch it and I will update.
And I'm really looking forward to this next chapter. So I'll definitely be talking about it and watching it when it comes out on Prime. Let's do the final one from Rajat. Rajat, thank you for your emails. Sorry I haven't been able to reply to all of them. I try to, but we were when we got them, we were going to read them on the show anyway. So here goes. In today's episode, you said you wanted to know what your fans thought about your political opinions. Let me just say that I agree with all of them. As a matter of fact, Khandaan has shaped my opinions about many things. That's very nice of you, Rajat. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's good. That's nice to hear. In your Andaz Apna Apna, you said Rajkumar Santoshi is underrated. Yes, he definitely is underrated. I gotta say, I couldn't agree more. He is most versatile mainstream director in Bollywood history, in my humble opinion. It would be really cool if you talked about him in the way you talked about Jaggu Dada in an episode, The Man Deserves It. And after that, he also went back and watched Gardish, and he recommended that I watch Lajja, but then he also agreed that this might not be the right time to watch Lajja because it is a very, very dark movie. Pitu's coming in. Shall we just pull her in?
Yeah.
Hey, Pitu.
Yeah. Hello. There you go.
Hello.
Hi,
Pitu.
Hi. Oh, actually, I just forgot. I'm not going to say hi to you guys.
Kyun?
Because I'm going to say something else. Chinga bunga!
So basically, Pitu, we're still reading listener emails, and we're still doing the part where we're talking about the stuff we watched, like White Tiger and stuff like that. So,
okay.
But you came on, and I think your input is invaluable for everything. Even if you've not watched it, even if you're not related to any of the things we're talking about, I think you're a necessary tadka to the podcast.
Awesome.
So
I'm
Pitu, like-
fully caffeinated.
Oh no. No, Pitu, like we've just in the middle of one email and that person is suggesting that Asim watch Lajja. What do you think?
Oh my god, that is such a good movie. That movie resulted in a discussion between my cousin and me about, like in India, public toilets are so bad, but like you drink so much water and nariyal pani and, sugarcane juice and just generally tea and stuff. And like basically if your bladder is pea-sized as mine is, then you need to pee constantly. But that movie, there is a very important scene between Madhuri and Manisha. And Manisha really needs to pee, so she wants to go home. And Madhuri is like, you stupid or what? Like just pee on the side of the road. And she's like, no. Like she's so horrified. She's like Victorian about it, and Madhuri is like, don't be stupid, we're not going home. So that resulted in like this huge moral dilemma for Tupu and I, because Tupu and I used to spend all our time like shaming men who used to like want to pee on the side of the road, and then we were like, but then aren't we worse? Like I don't know, I'm just saying, like Lajja brought up many conversations in my home.
Right. Rajat, I hope you're happy with that answer. Let's move on.
I feel like this is not what Rajat was hoping for.
Oh God.
From Lajja to Mutra Visarjan.
Yeah, I mean, it was really like a precursor of Toiletic Prem Katha, really, if you want to think about it.
Oh dear.
I like Raja. I mean, I liked Lajja when I watched it, but I don't feel I want to rewatch it because it is quite a horrific thing. And I like the one that always stands out is that whole sequence with Rekha, and I never want to sit through that again, because it's like such a horrible sequence. But so basically, the question was about Rajkumar Santoshi and how great of a director he is.
Yeah.
And I agree with it, and I like all of his movies. And all of his movies, I'll probably be watching Ajab Prem Kahani very soon, I think, because my daughter really likes Katrina and she really likes Ranbir now, although she just calls him Jagga Jasoos, which I think Ranbir would be fine with. So I think that will be my next view. Also, there's a Salman Khan connection in there, which is now very odd when you look at it in the history of everything that's happened. But I love Rajkumar Santoshi. What about you, Sujoy? Amrita, what do you think about Rajkumar Santoshi? Do you feel he's underrated? I don't feel he's talked about enough.
I mean, he made Andaz Apna Apna, and that says everything about it. I love Ghayal. I used to love Ghayal as a kid. I haven't rewatched it in a very, very long time, but yeah, just for those two movies, I think Rajkumar Santoshi is one of the greatest directors out of Indian cinema.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't really think about him, and I wouldn't, like, if you had asked me, like, just without any context, I would have been like, why is he underrated? Why? But then, yeah, like, I'd forgotten that he also did Ghayal. But, like, that's a pretty big range, right? Ghayal to Andaz Apna Apna to Ajab Prem Ki Kahani. Like, yeah, sure.
Damini, Khaki.
He made Ghatak also.
Ghatak, yeah. He's made China Gate. That was a really good one too. Barsat, he launched Bobby Deol. How about that? Pitu. there would be no Bobby Deol without Rajkumar Santoshi.
You mean Booby Deol? Yeah, that's true. No, but like if you're a Sunny Paji fan, you have to love Rajkumar Santoshi because Ghayal, Ghatak, and Damini, like three like very important films for Sunny Paji fans were made by him. And I always feel like Rajkumar Santoshi, it's so hard to get a pulse on this guy because he literally made the funniest, most quotable cult comedy classic Andaz Apna Apna, and then he made movies like Ghayal and Ghatak where Sunny Paji is basically screaming for 3 hours. So it's kind of like, who are you? Like, I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Yeah. But I've been caught, like, I've been burnt a few times with him too. Like, watching, remember Family Ties of Blood? Did you ever watch that movie?
No.
It was that movie was so terrible, and it was like it had Akshay.
Is that the boxing movie? Like
no.
That's happening.
It had the very tall hero, right? In Family Ties of
Blood. Kisi ka beta tha. It was definitely somebody's son that they were trying to.
Yeah.
I think
he also made Pukar. That was good.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Pukar! I haven't thought of that movie in a very long time.
Yeah. Although weirdly, it's not on. Oh yeah, Pukar. It's called Call on IMDb. That's why I was like, which one is Call? I don't even remember that one. Okay, good. I think we're done with the emails, right? Unless Sujoy, you have any messages you want to read on Instagram?
Yeah, just one from S-1981. She just, I think she's a she. From the profile picture. So, hello Khandaan peeps, she writes. Your podcast has given me life during this god-awful time. I used to be a commute listener during the pre-pandemic days and missed a few of your early pandemic episodes. One day during a grocery run, the podcast came on and it was an aha moment when I realized that your content gave me life. I hadn't stepped out in a month at that point and hearing three Desis talk about movies was the happiest thing ever. Now I look forward to every episode. It's like therapy to me here. Asim make a kachumbar out of simple names. Amrita not having any fucks to give for most OTT content. And Sujoy being the acha bacha of the group. Watching everything assigned to him. Please don't stop talking. And can you three please have Pitu on and review Hera Pheri? It's not a Khan movie. It's not a Khan movie, but oh my god, so funny.
See how we tied that in? See? आप मांगे और हमने पूरी करी फरमाइश तो आ गई बीच एपिसोड में आ गई
if you all are going to watch Hera Pheri, I think that the two men have to wear dhotis and chashma and they have to be Babu Rao Apte. They just do. It's a requirement.
Babu Rao ka style hai.
I do not know how to tie a dhoti. Like,
okay, so I had a birthday party where these two college kids who I didn't really know, but they were my friend's cousin and his friend. They came and I suggested people should dress up in a Bollywood theme because I was Circuit and my husband was Munna Bhai. And they literally tied their dorm ka bedsheet around themselves and wore ganji and came and they were like, we are Babu Rao Apte from Hera Pheri. Seriously. And then one of them got sick because he had eaten moldy bread the day before, so he puked in the bathroom.
Pitu, you have the best stories.
Yeah, because I have very questionable people in my life, that's why.
Was he singing a song or whistling in the toilet when he was throwing up though?
I don't really know because at that point I was like completely drunk, so I have no idea. I just know that my house looked very bad the next day. And my husband was traumatized.
So yeah. Sujoy, do you know how to tie a dhoti?
I do.
Okay.
I'm a very sanskari Hindu boy.
Do you go between the leg? Like
yeah.
Wow, yeah. You have to explain how it works, man. 'Cause I mean, it's not part of our thing. We don't wear dhotis necessarily.
Yeah.
So I was just like looking, it's like a sarong. That's how you like go round and then tie it up. And it never holds. So I just kind of gave up and I just wear shalwar instead.
The boys use safety pins, if you have to know.
Really?
Yeah, they were dorm kids. What do you expect? They were college kids. They put bedsheet and they put safety pin. At one point, thoda sa nikal bhi raha tha.
क्या निकल रहा था?
निकल रहा था.
Moving on. On the one hand, you have Hugh Hefner's party, on the other hand, you have Pitu's party. So कुछ ना कुछ निकलता है कहीं ना कहीं.
हाँ, लेकिन मेरी पार्टी में कैलिबर बहुत कम होता है लोगों का.
Oh God. Let's move on to some of the stuff we watch. Maybe I don't know, Pitu. Have you watched anything cool lately?
I haven't really watched anything cool. I've been watching a lot of Asian stuff. Like I've been watching Korean stuff and Japanese stuff. I've been watching zombie stuff. I haven't really seen any of the Indian like OTT stuff because I feel like all of it is just like, a rehash of like Mirzapur type of things. So I haven't really been watching any of the Desi stuff actually. However, I did watch a lot of Varun Dhawan's Shadi Ke photos. What few there were.
Oh. Oh yeah, he got married. Congratulations, bhai. Varun bhai.
What an afterthought.
I totally forgot about it. I remember, like Sujoy even tagged me and I was going to react on it and even then I forgot about it. Like what is this time to even get married, yaar? Like bad timing. Okay. Well, let's talk about the stuff we watched and then we can... Amrita, you actually watched something and how was Lupin? Like, that's what I want to hear because I thought you would love this show. Where am I with that assessment?
I did. So when everyone was talking about Lupin, I didn't understand, or I didn't get that they meant like Arsène Lupin, which is a series that I haven't read, but I know because it is one of the most amazing stories ever. So Arsène Lupin is this series of books that was written in French by this guy called, I think his name is like Maurice Leblanc or something. I'm not sure, but it's about this cat burglar or something in France, and he's like, the best burglar ever in France. And his nemesis is Sherlock Holmes. And then this guy like coolly just like took Sherlock Holmes as a character and put him in his novels. And then Arthur Conan Doyle was alive at the time, and he got really pissed, and he got his lawyers to like send this notice to him and said that if you don't stop using the name of my character, then I'm going to sue you for like copyright infringement. And so this guy was like, oh, yeah, sorry, I don't mean to do that. I can change the name. And so for the next book that he published, he changed the name of the nemesis who is after Lupin to, are you ready?
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes.
That is like A-level Buddha trolling,
It's
such a Kader Khan move.
Very Topji.
I remember like reading that for the first time, and I couldn't stop laughing. Like it was just insane. So I didn't know that this was like a updated version of that. So that was like within like, I think like the first 10 minutes I got that, and I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. So I loved it already going in. But it's a great show. Like I guess it's just the first half of the first season, right? Like there's going to be a second, like another 5 episodes coming in.
Yeah, it's already shot. It's coming out in the summer.
Great. It's this guy who's got like an axe to grind, and it's very modern. Like it's a very great, like I like this kind of stuff, like, where it's like an updated modern version of an old concept. And I like the way like they integrate race, and they integrate what it means to be black in Paris, and like all that kind of stuff into it. Like, and he's in this interracial relationship. Like it all plays into this larger story of just them doing this overall crime thing that's happening. So it's really tightly plotted. It's got a lot of depth to it. I really enjoyed it, and the guy is great. Like I've never seen. Is he like a famous actor in France?
He was a sketch comedian back in the day, but then he's like been slow. So he was a comedian, and then he kind of became like a dramatic actor, and then he went to Hollywood. He did some movies there, and then he came back to France, and he's doing work there. So he's really quite accomplished. He's made some really good movies. I would also recommend people watch Chocolat with him, which is about the first black circus artist back in the 18th or 19th century, and how he got really famous but ostracized by French society. And then also the most famous one was probably Intouchable. I think it was made Untouchables or something like that.
The Intouchables, yeah.
Yeah. Where he's like the nurse of a paraplegic patient, and that was also. I think that one's available on Prime or Netflix, one or the other. So if you
it was remade into Kevin Hart and Walter White, or what was his name? I can't remember the name of the movie.
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston. Them two remade that in a very bad remake.
Yeah, so the original is available, and if you want to see more of Omar Sy, I think that would be a good way in to watch either Chocolat or Intouchable.
He's amazing. I'll definitely be watching more of him.
Great. Sujoy, man, shall we do a bit of White Tiger?
Yeah.
When I first saw him, I knew then this was the master for me. I want to be a driver for your son.
Hey, how much rope?
Hey, don't do that.
Pitu, you didn't even try watching White Tiger? Like all the hype, Priyanka's in your country now, she's one of yours. No interest whatsoever for White Tiger.
I don't like Priyanka's acting at all. So there's something about her screen presence that annoys me, and I used to get into a lot of fights with all these like Priyanka fans because they were like, she's the best thing ever, and I'm like, what do I do? She's like the visual version of chalks on chalkboard. That's it. Now all your Khandanis are also going to be like, please don't invite me to ever. Sorry, I just don't like her at all. There's just something about her, so I refuse to see things with her. I know that's terrible. Sorry.
No, I am totally I'm on the side of what you're saying. I really have a lot of trouble with Priyanka Chopra. I used to. But let's talk about White Tiger, because I'll get into that a little bit. So, what did you think of White Tiger?
I have mixed feelings about it. Like, it's a very complex story of what it's trying to say. It talks about all the class politics in India, the stratification of the society, and as Amrita said, it was a controversial movie, and it talks about how the Hindu society works in rural India and how the rich versus poor divide is. We've already sort of had those themes explored in many, many movies, and here it's pretty up front and center. And I think the main actor who's playing the role of Balram Halwai is Adarsh Gaurav. He's done a really fantastic job in this movie, but I find the sort of, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that it is trying to explore those themes, but it is coming from a very outsider lens, and so I found some things to be quite exploitative in terms of how it was portraying poverty porn, like the same things that we found a bit problematic with Slumdog Millionaire are also present here, but in some other aspects, I found it to be quite a fascinating story.
Yeah, for me, it's a tough one. I was actually hoping that Amrita had a chance to watch it, because you've read the book and you kind of talked about it. So are you planning to watch it, Amrita, or is it just not,
No.
the interest is over already for you?
The thing with having read the book is that the book has flaws, right? Like, it has, the biggest flaw is the language of the book, because it's basically trying to translate Hindi idiom into English. So it just sounds super awkward when they do that.
It's like how Farhan Akhtar writes his dialogues.
Exactly. And I didn't like it back then. I didn't like it. I liked the concepts of the book. Like, it was trying to address a side of India that at the time, like, not a lot of people were talking about, like talking about poverty and caste and the intersection of that with New India and like commerce and business and land mafias and all that kind of stuff, and how like old systems of oppression were being integrated into New India, and we think that things have changed, but actually it's just stayed the same. I found the resolution of that book a bit too facile, but like, that's what I said. Like, I have like really mixed feelings about the book. So when I heard that it was being adapted, I could see how it's going to go wrong, but I could also hope that maybe they might fix it. And from the sounds of it, they didn't fix it. But it sounds like the kind of thing that a lot of white people would find like revelationary. So I guess it's really for an American audience rather than an Indian audience.
Yeah.
So,
which kind of brings us, like, it's been getting Oscar hype. I don't know what that means, but maybe that's good for Priyanka because she's the executive producer on this project. So I hope this goes somewhere for her. But like what you said, it's an adaptation from a book, and I think in a book, this story is told from the perspective of Balram Halwai, the protagonist, and he is also in the movie the narrator, and just the whole overall concept of somebody narrating on a whole story and being sort of an omnipresence over a story. I don't know if a talking head like that. I can't exactly remember if what was the last movie when that actually worked. Probably, I don't know, Goodfellas maybe. I find it hard.
For me, I like the movie overall, I must say. Like, I didn't mind watching it. Like, the 2 hours or 2.5 hours that were there, I didn't feel like I was necessarily bored. But it is also that Netflix movie where, like, Aadha Dhyan enough hai, like, if you pay half an eye attention, you finally get it. I think for me, I was watching it and it really felt like when on Twitter people are like, love these K-pop guys, like, they love him, but I understand this is not for me. And I think this is what White Tiger is. It's for really those people that say, oh my God, guys, I watched my first Bollywood movie. It was White Tiger or it was Slumdog Millionaire, that kind of audience. So, and I also felt that it was a summary of a book. Like, I never liked the Harry Potter movies because I never read the books. So I feel like the movies are like cliff notes of the books. And something is just missing, like it's a summary of something I haven't seen. So same with White Tiger. It was like, I really felt, because I was hoping that they would fix things because Amrita had mentioned it about that it was about class and this and that. And I felt Gully Boy, Parasite, or even Patal Lok deals about all of these issues much better than White Tiger does, in much more detail, much more deeper. But what I found funny is that it made me really miss Priyanka Chopra, which doesn't happen a lot. And I think in the last, visually, I like the appearance, the presence of Priyanka Chopra in movies now more than I ever did in Bollywood. Because I always feel she was out of place unless the whole project was around her. Then if she was driving the project, then it was a good movie. But as like being the side heroine of Hrithik Roshan in Agnipath, she just felt she was like photoshopped into the movie. She never felt like a real part of it. And I think that's what you're also alluding to, Pitu, I think. Unless your hate is even more stronger than that. But it was like we get 25 minutes of Priyanka and I was kind of missing her because I missed that star power. Because there's no other stars really there. And, like Rajkumar Rao getting married to Priyanka Chopra, and then it makes sense because actually he's rich and she's from Queen. So I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess. But I missed her on screen, and I feel the last 4 movies have all been about somebody else talking about Priyanka Chopra than Priyanka Chopra doing her own thing. Like if you look at Sky is Pink, or even We Can Be Heroes, she had a small role, and she's great in We Can Be Heroes, by the way. This is the best Priyanka movie I've seen in a long time. Or even Baywatch, she was having a lot of fun there.
So I like rom-com as well, right?
Yeah, but again, she was being imagined by Rebel Wilson in that movie. So it was never really her. It was an image of her. Like Sky is Pink is the image of the daughter talking about her mom. And it's just a weird part of how her career has evolved. And I just want something to be centered around Priyanka, because I like Priyanka now. Maybe because I see less of her.
I have a suggestion. If you're missing her that much, just go look at her 150,000 wedding photos. That she bombarded us with.
See, that's where I don't know, because I don't go that side of social media. That's your side. So I don't get I forgot that Varun Dhawan even got married. So, but I don't know. I kind of missed her. Like I was like, I wish there was more Priyanka in White Tiger. But yeah. Let's move on to Master.
அன்னைக்கு அவங்க அப்பனை எரிச்ச போய் அதே வீட்டுக்குள்ள தூக்கி உள்ள போட்டுருக்கோம். இப்ப சங்க தேர்தலில் தலைவர் பதவிக்கு போட்டுகிற அளவுக்கு வந்து நிற்கிறோம். நம்ம யூனியன் எலெக்ஷன்ல ஜெயிக்கணும்ன்றதுக்காக ஏத்து நிக்கிறோம்.
Master, man, I have some questions for you, Sujoy. What did you think of Master?
I don't know. I quite enjoyed it as what they call a quote-unquote mass movie, but I thought it could have been more. I am familiar with the concept of a mass movie and the template of a mass movie and what they tried to do with it differently, but I thought it could have been more. Like, I enjoy the genre because it entertains. It's kind of, pulling out all the stops from a checklist that they have to do in a Vijay and a Vijay Sethupati movie. But I don't know, it felt adequate at best.
And this is the movie that came out where, when they allowed 100% occupancy, I think, in theaters. And it was even pushed by the actors to open up theaters to watch this movie. Yeah. And I was like, man, if you get corona because of this shit, what the hell, man? What are the life choices you've made?
Yeah.
So there was this Twitter thread a while ago by a Thai lady, and she says in Thai, when we eat something that's not to our taste, we don't really say I don't like this or this is bad. We say I don't know how to eat this. And that's what I was thinking when I was watching, because I don't know how to eat Vijay as an actor. I don't understand, not Vijay Sethupati, because I really like that guy.
Yeah.
But the other one, the Joseph Vijay, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand the appeal of this guy, man. I've watched a few movies of him. Like, can you guys explain to me why people like him?
Not me.
So one thing I've discovered, right, because I've seen some of his movies before, and the one thing that I've discovered watching Master is that he's not a good actor.
Yeah.
Because he can get away in a mass movie by, just pointing and dancing like Bhai does, or the action scenes. But when it comes to like the character in Master is supposed to be, he's like an alcoholic professor who, due to some interactions and circumstances, he has a change of heart. And that scene is supposed to be very, very, very melodramatic, and he has to bring it in that scene, right? He has to cry his eyes out, and he has to show that change of character, and it doesn't work. He's trying his best, and it just looks like Zayed Khan.
No, I was really hoping that you guys could explain it, because I do not get it. And when I saw the poster of this movie, I was like, okay, Joseph Vijay and Vijay Sethupati. And I have this thing where I'm going to probably watch anything Vijay Sethupati is in. I think that's going to be one of my rules. Because every time I've watched him...
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing in everything. And this was like basically chupke all over again. Where I'm like, poster pe to har jagah hai. You watch it and it's like 20 minutes in the movie. And I was like, wait, why I'm now watching a Joseph Vijay movie? Like, this is not what I signed up for. And it's I don't get it. I don't know how to eat him. I don't understand it.
You don't need to eat him.
It feels like there's even a song about how swaggy he is and how sexy and hot he is, and I was like, wow, is this he's like Joseph in the Bible, where women are cutting their fingers off while they're eating anar because he's so hot. And I was like, wow, we really live in different worlds. With I don't know what the appeal is. Is he a good dancer, a good fighter? Because I couldn't see any of that. I didn't understand at all, and there was not enough Vijay Sethupati in it. And I was going to watch it, and then you said, you tweeted that, there's body transformation and this guy gets muscular. But then Vijay is quite fat in this. I was like, where did all the muscles go? And I was hoping for, like, at the end, there would be, like, shirts off, charbi dikha, badi body bana liye tune type fight at the end. And then, like, one really skinny guy and one really fat guy. And I was like, I don't know how to eat this.
But there's one thing, like one redeeming quality to Master, I think, and that is the Vati Coming song, the intro song to the Thalapathy Vijay in the movie, because that is TikTok gold. I really want to see people go nuts with that song.
Sujoy, we want to see you dance on that on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
In a dhoti.
Without safety pins.
Yes.
He also does this thing where he's wiping off his mouth with the collar of his shirt really weirdly, and it's disgusting. Like, I don't know, like I find it really disgusting, like, because he's an alcoholic supposedly, so he's wiping off drool, I imagine, right? Like this dried drool on the collar, and it just smells in the heat in India. Like, wow, it's swag, right? I don't know. I don't get it. If people are huge Vijay fans, I don't know. Maybe we need to get the other Banana Podcast guys here and explain this to me. Amrita, would they be able to explain this to me?
Maybe we should ask them.
We should.
We'll ask them to, like, send in a little spot for the next podcast.
We should, because I don't understand it. So yeah, Master was not really for me, and it's like 4 hours 50 minutes long or something like that. It's really long.
It did feel like an Amazon show rather than a movie. Yeah. It was quite episodic, and it just. The origin stories of the hero, the origin story of the villain, and then the intermission में दोनों मिलते हैं, and like Yeah.
Because
Never mind.
when you have like Vikram Veda, where like, it's about Vijay Sethupati and I feel Madhavan got the short shrift there because there was not enough of him.
Yeah.
It feels like this was like, is Vijay maybe a bigger star than Vijay Sethupati? Is that what it is? Like
He's currently being touted as the most paid star, highest paid star in Tamil cinema.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do not get it at all. I do not get it. Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention the Arjun Das guy, the one lanky sidekick that Vijay Sethupati has, who is known as Das in the movie. He's got a really strange baritone voice, and like for that lanky frame that he has, it's like I cannot stare away from him.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's got a strange screen presence, and somebody, I think, I don't know his name, Lokayata, he's from the Other Banana podcast. He pointed me that Arjun Das was also in a movie called Kaiti by the same director of Master. And he's much better in that movie. So I'll go back and rewatch. I've already watched Kaiti, but I can't remember. But Arjun Das kind of reminded me of. Do you guys remember Raghuvaran, who used to? Well, he passed away a couple of years back.
The villain, right?
Yeah.
He played. No, he reminded me of Bruce Lee more than anything. Like, Bruce Lee his body was like a muscle that's always tensed up.
Yeah.
That's the kind of energy he brought. And I was watching and I was like, man, I wish RGV still made good movies and he would cast this guy. That's the kind of guy he is. Like, he's really like, wow, it's really good. Unfortunately, if there's no space for Vijay Sethupati in the movie, there's no place for Arjun Das in this movie. It's all about, the weird swaggy guy. I don't know. Please write in if you understand this movie or if you understand the appeal of Vijay on youpodcasting@gmail.com. Let's finish up this episode because we have Pitu and we want to talk about the movie she picked, which is Daulat Ki Jung. I don't know what. Oh God. Pitu, where can people find you online?
At Pitu Sultan on Instagram and at Kapaw with Pitu on Instagram.
Amrita?
You can find me on Twitter at Amrita IQ, on YouTube at Amrita by the Book, and I will also be on this podcast called Fuckboys of Literature to discuss The Guide by R.K. Narayanan. So keep an eye on that for February.
Amrita har jagah hai. Amrita is a god.
Somebody tweeted Amrita is like Karan Johar of the podcast world.
Yeah, she is.
I think it was Faz, right?
Maybe. मैं क्या करूं, मैं इतनी बोर्ड हूं, कहीं पे भी पहुंच जाऊं.
बोर्ड नहीं बोलते बेटा, पॉपुलर बोलते हैं.
I'm at Asim Bernie.
मुझे कोई पूछा ही नहीं.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to move on so quickly. Sujoy, man, please say.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at @93k, and you can also follow the Khandaan Podcast on Instagram at Khandaan Podcast. Also, check out Binging Bridgerton on YouTube and also on your podcast main event.
Good plug, yeah, good plug. So let us know on youpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter on youpodcast, and I think I'm going to be on, I think it's called the Swinging Palm Trees podcast, which will be launched. I'll add the show notes. It's Akin, a good friend of ours, that launched it. It's going to be something very different and really cool, but I thought I'll already give the plug out. I think that's it. We have a lot more messages. We didn't get through to them, but it leaves us for another listener email kind of show that we want to do. So thanks for listening, guys.
Khandaan Podcast on the Podcast.
If you love to be remembered as the person who gives the best birthday gifts, I'm here to tell you that 1-800-Flowers.com is your ultimate birthday gifting destination. 1-800-Flowers has thoughtful and artfully created options that are guaranteed to deliver the best birthday surprise. Shop thousands of unique gifts at 1-800-Flowers.com for exclusive offers and great values. To order today, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/tune in. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/tune in.